Why do humans die? This is perhaps the oldest question in our shared history. From the very first breath we take, we are already on a path toward our final one. Yet, for most of our lives, we live as if death is a distant shadow, something that happens to others, but not to us. We immerse ourselves in the immediate. We build careers, we nurture deep relationships, we craft elaborate plans for a future that feels infinite. We dream, and we build as if time is our ally. But behind every single one of those plans lies a simple, quiet, and completely unavoidable truth. One day, this journey will come to an end. So we must ask, why is this the case? Why must human beings die? And more importantly, what does that reality mean for the way we choose to live today? Throughout human history, death has not just been a biological event. It has been the central, pulsing question at the heart of all philosophy. The ancient Greeks, for instance, did not see death merely as an object of terror. For them, it was something to be looked at directly, something to be understood. Plato once famously described the entire practice of philosophy as a preparation for death. He believed that by reflecting on our mortality, we learn to live more thoughtfully. When we acknowledge our end, the clutter of the trivial falls away. We begin to ask what truly matters and how we can use the time we have with intention. Then there was Epicurus, who offered a different kind of comfort. He argued that death should not terrify us, because when death is here, we are not. And when we are here, death is not. As we moved into the Middle Ages, the conversation shifted. Death became deeply intertwined with religious faith and the eternal destiny of the human soul. During this era, life on Earth was often seen as a mere threshold, a brief preparation for a much longer journey that begins only after the body fails. But in the modern era, the lens changed again. We turned away from pure metaphysics and began to look at death through the cold, precise eyes of science and medicine. Researchers began to ask, what is happening inside the machine? What are the mechanical reasons why the biological clock eventually stops ticking? They discovered that aging isn't just something that happens to the whole body at once. It's a process that begins deep within our cells, at the very foundation of life. We found that our cells are not immortal. They can only divide a limited number of times. Eventually, they reach a point where they can no longer renew themselves. In this sense, death is not a mistake or an accident. It is a fundamental part of the very structure and design of biological life itself. It is baked in from the start. The core insight here is surprisingly simple, yet it changes everything. Death is not merely the end of life. It is one of the conditions that actually gives life its meaning. Think about it. Every organism, from the smallest bacteria to the largest whale, is built with inherent limits. These boundaries are what define the shape of its existence. Inside our own cells, we have these structures called telomeres. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces. Every time a cell divides, these tips get a little bit shorter. When those telomeres reach their limit, the cell stops. The body gradually loses its ability to regenerate. This is our biological boundary, present from the day we were conceived. But while this boundary is biological, its role in our lives is deeply philosophical. It creates the framework for every choice we make. If humans could live forever, the urgency of our decisions would simply vanish. If you had an infinite amount of time, why would you choose to do anything today? When time is infinite, the value of a single day, a single hour, or even a single moment becomes unclear. It is the limited nature of life that gives it weight. Because we know our time is finite, every moment gains significance. We are forced to choose. We are forced to prioritize. We are forced to care. Consider a revealing example from those who have spent their lives at the very edge of this boundary. Physicians who care for the terminally ill. One physician, after decades of listening to patients near the end of their lives, shared the most common reflections people have. And they are rarely about what we might expect. Surprisingly, people almost never regret not earning more money, achieving a higher status, or spending more time at the office. Those things seem to fade into irrelevance. Instead, they speak about the things that are truly human. Relationships they nurtured or neglected, the honesty they lacked, and the missed chances to live authentically. Many say they wish they had expressed love more openly. They wish they had followed their own true desires rather than the expectations of others. In those final moments, life's priorities become remarkably clear. It's as if death acts like a mirror, reflecting back at us what truly mattered all along. The central message here is vital. Death is not simply the opposite of life. It is the very boundary that shapes the meaning of life itself. We cannot eliminate death. No amount of science or wealth can change that. But we can change how we understand it and how we let it influence us. Some see death only as a source of paralyzing fear. Others see it as a powerful reminder, a call to live every single day with deliberation and purpose. The question therefore shifts. We stop asking only, why do humans die? And we begin asking, how should humans live knowing that they will die? When we embrace this perspective, it transforms the way we live. It shifts our focus from the infinite later to the precious now. It encourages us to value our relationships more deeply, to realize that the people we love are also finite, and that every conversation is a gift. It forces us to choose our priorities carefully. We no longer have time for the things that don't align with our values. We become architects of our own meaning. Most importantly, it challenges us to live with greater authenticity right now, rather than postponing our true lives to some indefinite point in the future. In the end, death reveals something absolutely essential about what it means to be human. It is our shared burden, but also our shared inspiration. Humans are the only creatures on this planet who understand that their life will end, yet we still choose to live, to create, to love, and to hope. Despite the shadow of the end, we build great cities, we write symphonies, and we raise families. We act as if our work will echo forever. And in a way, it does. Perhaps the deepest sentence we can ever leave behind is one that captures this paradoxical beauty of our existence. It's a statement of courage, to know that we will die, and to still choose to live fully. That is the very essence of the human spirit. That is what it means to truly be alive. Thank you for joining me on this reflection. May you find meaning in every finite moment of your journey. Goodbye for now.